Start off so strong.
Hi guys, welcome to Cosplay. Now you have to keep it in. To Cosplay Stitch and Seam, I'm Pannin.
I'm V-Fire.
And I'm laughing too hard. And I'm David.
Yay!
Woo.
It's been a
Tripping
long week
right at
and
the start.
only Monday, and yeah, we are.
Boy, I cannot wait for this week to already be over.
Yeah. Whoo boy. Hope you guys at home are having a better time. You can tell us all about it. Like, I guess we're about to like drop it on y'all. There's a number of ways you can reach out. This is like the most, I don't know, like casual intro we've had in a while. But y'all can contact us a few different ways. The first is email, which is cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or
you can go to our website, cosplaystitchandseam.com, and fill out the contact form, or
go to the Facebook page. And while you're on the Facebook page, tell us your fantastic work in progress Wednesdays. Tell us what you're working on. Join our awesome community of like-minded folks who want to see you succeed, excel, and learn. And if you're not a big fan of Facebook, we have a Discord. We would love to have you there as well, or one or the other. You don't have to join both, but we know that you being there means that you love us and we love you in return. It's just that simple. So very simple.
ta-da!
While you're on the internet, if you want to help out the show, there are many different ways to do that. You can share the podcast with a friend. Just post it on your feed. No explanation, just the episode. No context, just like, here you go. Enjoy that. And you could leave us a review wherever they let you leave reviews. We also have we also
now you gotta keep it in there.
Dang it! It's an all bloopers episode, apparently.
It fits, I promise.
Yes, definitely. Words today are hard. Patreon.com/cosplaystitch, where you can send us some money to help keep the show going in the form of our website and the hosting fees and all those things. $3 a month gets you a shout out on the show every single month, and for $5 a month you can join our Cosplay Chronicles.
Yes.
We are coming up on another episode at the time of this record, and I cannot wait to see what happens on the next episode, because I've put a lot of juicy little things out there for the group to hang on to, and like, ooh, let's go this direction. No, let's go that direction. And I love that portion. Because that's the least amount of work for me, is like, here you go, here's your options, what do you want to do?
Here's a whole bunch of leads to follow. Go.
Yes. Don't make me work any harder. So yeah, go check out our Patreon. We would greatly appreciate it.
Yay. So why I was saying bloopers are okay is because this episode we're talking about a topic that's been kind of a hot topic on cosplay TikTok, but it's talking about being cringe at conventions and how it's kind of a different vibe now than maybe it was 5 or 6 years ago.
This episode is cringe.
I am always cringe. Cringe is canceled. I am embracing it. But yeah, I was curious about what you guys thought about like how convention culture has changed, and like, I don't know, like I feel like there's always going to be like a air quotes cringe fandom that people are going to like make fun of more than others, whether or not that is warranted. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm very curious as to, like, because Homestuck for the past X number of years has been the cringe fandom. Is there a new, like, more cringy fandom?
Oh, well, like, okay, so it kind of rotates every, I would say 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So, like, Homestuck was the major cringe one, I want to say in the early 2000s. But then it kind of evolved to hit, like, Kingdom Hearts.
Don't you sully the name of my Kingdom Hearts.
I'm just telling you. I'm spitting facts here.
It had a cringe time. It did.
Most of these are like less the fandom, like the the media is necessarily cringe. It's like that, like
You get on DeviantArt, you look at the fan art, and you're like, oh boy, that's the one now.
Sure. So like it went to like Kingdom Hearts, and it was Naruto. Then I think it was Black Butler. Hetalia was definitely in there.
Hetalia, I remember that.
I think right now it's probably like Has Been Hotel, and let me know if there are others, but I think that's just on my FYP what people seem to be reacting to. I enjoyed it, but
I love it.
I'm gonna throw out one that's been cringe for me, just like the things I've seen online, and I might end a relationship here, maybe two, depending on how this is received. But
Judgment.
the ACOTAR fan base is very cringe for me. They are sure. Very intense, and I'm happy they got it, but. Listen, I am in love with somebody who is in an ACOTAR fan mindset. I recognize that I am like too close to this, but dang it, does it not just like, oh man, I can't wait for this to be not your image anymore.
See, that's the book talk fan base cringe. Like everywhere has cringe, and like by saying it's cringe, I don't mean you shouldn't enjoy it. I think you should absolutely enjoy the things that make you happy and bring you joy. This is
I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts off to the side.
This is more like me stating a timeline of fandom history and what the general consensus seemed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's a good one that's going on now-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of rotates, and I think the thing about the fandoms or the media itself is that it usually is like really well loved by a broad range of people. Like the things that make it cringe is that it's too popular, or it's like people are seeing too much of it, or for some of them it's like you get fans who want to like reenact scenes in public, and some people think that's cool and some people think that's not cool. Or like you were saying, Mercedes, some people like certain brands of fan art, and some people would have looked at the fan art you saw and thought, that is just my cup of tea, and other people would look at it and be like, ooh, cringe.
David.
I mean, some people go, oh, you write fan fiction, that's cringe, but you know what, I think it's pretty cool. So it just I think it is such a sad thing to just like write something off because like a fan base feels cringe, or because you have seen like cringe interactions about it that you
I think it's important to have those moments too.
Sure.
Because it's like it's part of growth and whatnot. Now it's definitely like a lot harder to feel like that nowadays with cameras being everywhere, photos, all that stuff going on social media and the internet, and
for sure.
And so like you feel like you can't do those things, but I still think like a healthy dose of that is still fine. Like you need to be allowed to be a little cringe sometimes.
Yeah, no, and I think most of these people that act, you know, what some people would say like differently or weird or whatever at conventions are doing it because they're genuinely having fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to be someone on the outside looking in and be like, you know, look at those losers, whatever. But in that circumstance, like, who's really in the wrong there? Like, I think as long as like there's certainly been like past issues as far as like consent, like you were talking about, like with maybe photos or videos and things like that. But like, as long as the people that are being silly or goofy or cringe or whatever are all consenting to it, then like I don't know, it seems fine and fun. And don't be jelly that you're not having fun. I don't know. But yeah, I like that there's also like, I feel like a counter movement of like embracing your cringe, and like I do feel like what has maybe changed some of the convention culture with that is that some of us are coming into the convention scene for the first time post pandemic and didn't maybe experience fandom in the same way people who have been in it for a long time did. Or the fact that anime is getting, well, not just anime, but nerd culture in general is becoming a lot more mainstream and popular and well accepted. And so you're not just getting, you know, people who are having like off the wall crazy fun time. You're also getting like just normies who have no idea what convention culture looks like.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, if you're seeing that for the first time, maybe that would be something that would really take you aback. So yeah, I think there's, I don't know, I was watching all these TikToks about it and I found all the different viewpoints really interesting.
I think for me, like, it kind of goes back to that, like, consent is king, right? You got to have
Right.
that aspect. And if nobody's getting hurt and they're not taking up a space in a negative mindset of like, hey, this space is reserved and you can't be doing this here. Like,
Mhm.
if they're out in the courtyard and nobody else is using the courtyard, what's the harm, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I may not think that this fandom is fun or entertaining or whatever, but that's me. That's my taste. One Piece ain't
Mhm.
for me, man. And it's one of those things like, this resonates with so many people, and I'm so happy they have it. It's a little bit cringe when I see it, though. It's just like, oh, nope, not for me. But that's purely it. It's like, ooh, this is
Oh,
not for me.
shame.
That's why I never wanted to be. But yeah, I think there's like, in that kind of mindset of like, what's the COVID, like post-COVID con experience? There's that like definite topic of like, I never got to do this thing, and I never thought I might get the chance. And I think there's a lot of people who are just kind of like in this screw it mentality of like, I just want to figure out what it is that I'm doing, and reclaiming that aspect of their life that they may not have ever had the chance to have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally.
I think for me also, there's just kind of like this, like, I don't know what I lost, but I know that I lost time during COVID, and I want to do the things that are going to make me happier. And that means that I had to do hard things. I had to make hard choices. And at the same time, I've never been happier. I'm miserable right now purely just because of like circumstances that are going on around me, but I've
Uh-huh.
never been happier, and I've never been like in a place where it's like, yeah, I can do this. I'm on top of this stuff. So I love this idea of people coming to the con with that kind of like same mentality of like, oh, I almost didn't make it out of COVID, or I got really sick during COVID and I thought I wasn't going to make it out, or you know, I was stuck in my house for a year and a half. I didn't know what else I could do. So now people are coming out in droves trying to reclaim that part of them.
Yeah, no, I love that perspective. I think that's a fantastic way to frame it. So I'm glad you are embracing that. I think that is awesome. What about you, V Fire? Did we lose you?
Oh no, I'm here. I'm just thinking.
Oh.
Yeah.
Remember, this is all bloopers episode. I ain't trimming nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
All cringe, baby.
Embrace your cringe.
Yeah. I think I've said what I've needed on it. Like, you need to allow yourself to have a little bit of it. And I like David's, like, you know, making sure you're just being considerate of others and keeping that idea of like consent of like where it's appropriate and whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in that vein, we kind of wanted to talk about some like general etiquette of conventions in case some of you are like coming to our podcast for the first time, or maybe you are one of those folks that has never been to a convention, and now that like conventions are becoming a thing again, you're excited and interested to get into it, but maybe a little apprehensive. So I don't know, we kind of wanted to talk about like the do's and don'ts maybe, or even just how to like go and have a good time.
Yeah.
Mercedes or V Fire mentioned consent is a big one. making sure that you are getting consent before you photograph, not just cosplayers, but even like random con goers. Make sure that that's okay. And that also goes for video. I did sadly see some people who had like posted like video that I thought just looked like people having a blast at a convention, and they were like dancing together. And when you see like people doing, say, like K-pop or Vocaloid or whatever dances together, people always think that's cool, that they have like this unison, or you know, that they all know the same dance. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if it's a cringe fandom, then people are like, oh, this is so like kill it, you know, kind of a thing. And people were reposting videos and making like rude comments at the cosplayers just because it was a fandom that they didn't like. And like, honestly, if like if you can't say something nice, just like keep it to yourself. Like, don't go posting videos just to shame people.
Yeah, don't do stuff to shame
Like-
people, and don't like reshare stuff that is from someone shaming stuff. Like, that is such a big one for me. Like, I just really hate seeing that on the internet. It really puts me off to wanting to
like
interact with people online, you know?
Yeah, it's one thing if it shows up in my comments section for something that I have personally posted, but when you're posting video of people who didn't like consent to it in the first place and then using that to mock them, I was just very disappointed in like our congoers that would do something like that.
Yeah, so, it's like, if you're someone who's doing that, take a second for some self-reflection, and I'm meaning that with like my heart here, being like, please take a moment to do that, because I know that like saying that and attacking with like, you're being a dumb, can't say that word.
I also want to point out that V-Fire is holding a baseball bat behind their back right now. Like,
I mean, you can. Yeah, I'm trying to come at this with kindness, not with a baseball bat.
Not with kindness, or Mercedes will find you.
I will.
So I would say, gosh, making sure you ask for consent first before pictures, video, and like
be polite about what you post.
Be polite about what you post. I have noticed like when I have been to conventions in the last couple years, like when people take pictures, usually the first thing they'll say is like, is this okay if I post this to my socials? And, you know, asking for consent, not just for the picture, but to post them publicly. Because those can be two very different things. I thought that was very cool. And I do kind of want to like rope that into like more recent convention culture, that the cosplay is not consent movement kind of like started up, like people being a lot more socially aware at conventions. I think, you know, a lot has to do with the climate, with people like getting more and more socially aware in general. And it's really nice to see that at conventions, that people are like more polite and more thoughtful when it comes to interacting with others. So that part I do like.
I just want to bring it back real quick on like the consent portion, like as to like why someone might say no, is purely because like, one, they may not like the photo, or they maybe snuck out of work and they're at the con having a good day, and their boss is not going to like seeing that they got tagged in a thing, or maybe like they just want to have like a private life in separate. And like, we have people in the con space who are just like, no, this is my con name. You don't know my real name, and I want to keep it that way for my personal, professional life. Not that it would probably ruin them, but it's just sometimes it's so hard to explain to my 50-year-old boss. Okay, so there's this anime called Berserk, and the character is named Guts, and I want to do his cosplay, and he's a big sword, and that's why I did this thing. It's just not going to land. Just having the conversation's exhausting sometimes.
Oh my gosh, for real.
what has been nice is that a lot of it is a lot more accepted now. Not that it's perfect, there's still issues, but like I've found that it's a lot easier to be able to talk about that, and like even in like a teaching space, which is what I do, and it just it's awesome how much it's grown. Where before I was like, please don't ask me about my hobbies.
Well, now I'm putting my hobbies on my resume. Like as I'm applying for jobs, I sit there and go, "Well,
That's awesome.
Mhm.
what's something that you are proud of?" Hey, I won a cosplay competition, and it was my first one ever. And after my performance, and I'm really stinking proud of that thing. I spent so many hours. I want to brag about that.
Heck yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's more effective than saying I'm an Eagle Scout, but that's just me.
I got my current job actually, one of the biggest reasons they hired me was actually because of cosplay.
That is very
Cool.
cool.
Yeah. I'm teaching a costume class right now and I'm really excited. Like it's been so fun
Nice.
so far. We've only had one class, but it's been great.
That is very cool. And I do think like social media has been awesome in helping kind of like propagate and get people like more aware of what cosplay is and how people enjoy cosplay. And like personally, I love seeing the TikTokers who like will dress up as their character and they'll like lip sync to lines from the show, or they'll do like a funny bit or like a meme that's going around. And I just think that's really fun. And you can tell that they like put a lot of time and effort into not just like dressing up, but then playing the part of the character. Then they have to be good at video editing. Then they have to be good at like filming. And
Lighting.
there's
and
so much
technical.
that goes into it that I'm just like constantly impressed.
Mhm.
But some people like look at that and be like, no, that's cringe. Don't act like a cosplayer on TikTok with their exaggerated movements. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
They look so fun.
Yeah. So get out there and have fun.
Yeah. And if that's not for you, that's cool. Do cosplay in your own way. Like do whether it's like making videos or like going to do a photo shoot or just
My kind of photo shoot.
thanks, or just like chilling at home and like trying out different makeup things, whatever is making you happy. Yeah, that's how I feel about that.
So like let's say that like your example of like I'm new to cosplay. I had kind of my moment in the past few years of like I've never tried this thing and I still want to try it so badly. So I dress up as my character and I see some people like doing a dance. I know the dance. Is it cringe for me to like jump in? What's the protocol there?
Well, that's a good question. It can really depend. So if you're at like a designated gathering and you see like lots of other people are taking part, I mean, if someone's got a camera running, it's always good to like ask someone if you can join in, no matter what's going on. Because you will see like a lot more cosplayers like going off to the side to do their own like videos for social media. But at a gathering is generally like a place where you can gather and all be like excited about the same thing. I mean, my experience has been that like that kind of thing is okay in that space, but asking is always the best policy.
Yeah.
When in doubt, doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah. So that's a good question.
What about I am trying to make my own TikTok and I'm in my own section and I've gotten stage fright in front of my camera, in front of all these strangers who are just walking by. They're just doing their own thing. What am I doing?
Literally me.
Every time.
Oh, I should do like a little video or a TikTok or like record this and post this on social media, and then I feel like I get overwhelmed and embarrassed. I don't know, like I think having friends with you is helpful because one, they can hold your camera. But like for me, it's like separating between like I am a convention goer enjoying this space to like I am using this space to create something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it can be hard to like jump in between the two without something that's designating that space. And what I mean by that is like whether that's having people holding the cameras, whether it's having like your lighting array set up, whether it's like just looking more like you're setting up to do something. That gets me in that headspace of like, okay, I am legit and doing this thing and not just like being someone like taking a selfie video as I walk around or whatever. For me, I have to have like that mental separation or I can't get into it.
Yeah. If you're setting up for TikToks as well, like be aware that like if you set up in the middle of a busy area that people are going to walk through and they might not notice. There's going to be a number of different reasons why they're going to walk through your video.
Right.
Take a place that's off to the side.
Please.
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 I know it's fun to be like in the throng of people, but that can also be like keep in mind that you're not the only one allowed to enjoy the space. Space is for everybody.
And not to be like that person, but like the TikToks that do really well and whatnot are staged.
What?
Yeah. What?
They plan for having people in the background and allow for it's all is that idea consent again.
You mean that group of people that flash mobbed to "you the best, I'm the best, okay" was not. What are you saying?
They didn't just all stand up because they knew it and like spontaneously decided to dance to it.
It's still fun. It's still fun. You can plan them out. This is like when I taught the YouTube camps, summer camps at the old place I used to work at. It just would just blow kids' minds when I was like, yes, your favorite YouTubers plan what they're going to do before they do it.
You might as well be telling me that there's a man inside that Mickey Mouse costume at Disneyland.
Oh, dear David.
You gotta tell.
I'm not telling them.
Hey, can you guys get in the comments on the Discord and tell me what they're not telling me? Because they are. I've edited out 20 minutes of no, you tell them. No, you tell them.
Someone's got to keep that magic alive, okay?
Right. Man, I've been super into the cute little Pokemon dance that like boogie boogie down down.
Yeah,
I can't sing it obviously, but it is like a dance that is my pace. It's just point to the sides and then shake your hips.
Yeah,
I can do that.
I love those ones. Like, it's so frustrating when I'm at my friend's house, I'm playing D&D, and that's the night, right? I'm not picking up my phone, I'm not looking at TikTok, and then I hear my friend's 6-year-old pull up her phone, and TikTok goes off, and that's the thing, and I was like, now it's gonna be stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
Everybody do the weenus. The weenus is a dance.
That one's cringe, all right? I was immediately cringe when Sam did it. I don't care what you say, that's cringe.
Let me enjoy things, David.
Oh, everyone should be miserable like me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I feel like it would be fun to do an episode where we just do like silly memes, but
silly memes.
I like silly memes.
Isn't that the show normally?
I mean, I grew up in the I Can Has Cheeseburger era, so memes are like my bread and butter.
And VFire works with the young kids, so like
the youth.
You've got like a pipeline to the freshest memes, like Skibbity Toilet.
I had a student use like bet.
Nice.
They said bet to one of my class, like go into one of my classes, so I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'll have you know, I watched like 50 episodes of that Skibbity Toilet thing.
Did you really?
I did. It's actually really interesting.
Like from an anthropological point of view?
No, it was. Like, it starts out as like this random meme, but then it gets very like anti-fascism and like very fun.
That is not what I expected out of this.
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
it's not. But the kids are all right, you know.
That's like telling me Charlie the Unicorn's message is, make sure you pay your bills on time or something like that.
Good.
Bannon has just been faced with the reality of time.
I know. There's some memes, and I'll look them up on Urban Dictionary, which is where us old folks go when we don't know what a meme is, and it isn't there yet. So,
yeah.
So that one always makes me go, oh no, how do I figure out what it is?
I'm not the old one. It's the kids. The kids are wrong.
Oh man. Anywho.
Anywho.
I don't know where I was going with that, but this is me being cringe for like 30 seconds with nothing to say, and David said that Faye is not going to cut the audio out, and so I'm just still talking and hoping that an idea
with
comes
TikTok.
Yeah.
You gotta have consent in any interaction with another human being. You gotta have a camera out. You gotta make sure, hey, are you cool if I post this? How can I tag you? Do you want to be tagged? Do you want to be an amorphous blob? Are you okay being in this video? Period. These are important questions. I'm not saying you need to have a legal document, but just, have a vibe check conversation. And that's not a hard thing to do. Like, hey, you cool if I post this? You cool? Do you want to be tagged? Hey, you were my cameraman. I would love to credit you that you were my cameraman. Can I post that? Like,
yeah.
There you go.
This is gonna be like a weird, like, kind of like offshoot, but I promise it comes back. You know the guy who does like the ASDEF videos. Speaking of old memes, the like die potato or I like trains. That guy.
Yes.
So he's been on YouTube since pretty much the beginning, and he's learned so many things, and he's so quick to talk about that. And I think that's one of the things that I love most about him. And he talks about how like one of his best friends is quitting his company, and it's heartbreaking because for multiple reasons. And he talks about how his friend and he sat down and they wrote out a contract together because they're in a business, they're doing business things together, and they needed to understand what's the delineation between friendship and a companionship of work, let alone a partnership, right? And if you are going on that kind of adventure, it's wise to have a contract of like, this is what I want, this is what you want. And it doesn't need to be legal. It's just something that you can refer back to of like, hey, this is the expectation that I have coming into this. Tell me if I'm wrong. And having it in writing at least gives everybody a chance to look it over and go, no, I feel more this way, or I'd rather it be that way. And so like just having that conversation in the first place, you have the opportunity to have like a clear breakdown of what your expectations are, what you want, and you can't be mad if the result isn't what you wanted when you never had that conversation in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? You can be frustrated, but you can't be mad at it because it's like you didn't communicate that. That's on you, dude. Like my first podcast, Dungeons and Chill, there are parts of it when I look back and I go, oh, I was doing such a poor job of communicating what my goals were, and I can't be mad at anyone else but myself. And that's frustrating, but I now learned like, hey, Pannon and V-Fire, this is kind of what I'm feeling for the podcast. What do you guys think about that? We have those conversations frequently.
Yeah.
So TikToks, pictures, tagging, anything along those lines, it's very important to have that just business and upfront conversation.
Business.
Business.
I like it. V-Fire, any final thoughts?
Be kind to everybody and be a little cringe. It's okay.
Be cringe, do crimes.
No,
don't.
Our legal team says that we do not endorse any crimes.
No, we don't endorse any crimes.
We're all chaotic good on this podcast. We know that, but we legally cannot take responsibility for any of your actions. Why am I the voice of reason here?
So
I'm the one with fire in my name, okay?
Well, speaking of fire and crimes, do we have any
Horror stories. Spooky, spooky, spooky.
I didn't prepare David for that at all. I just went into it.
Both my hands were on my stomach because I was laughing so hard. It was a great transition. But again, no edits in this episode.
I have no idea if there's fire or law breaking or crimes in this horror story, but I hope there are. I mean, I don't, but I do.
This one comes from Becky Boo Bear from our Cosplay Horror Story channel on our Discord. This one says, the start of a horror story? Group is planning out our next skit. There were 2 main ideas, but the group, after some slow debate over a few days, went with mine. Hey, look at that. This is a great tie-in to our example of just like, you got to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Me, i.e. Becky Boo Bear. Okay, I'll go ahead and order my cosplay and supplies through Taobao?
Yeah, Taobao.
Taobao, okay. I'll do a mass shopping spree for this. Me, orders like $200 of supplies and cosplay pieces on Taobao. Asking for feedback on fabric and the like along the way from the group. Me, buys $45 of black lights and $150 of portable power stations to power them, along with props to glow, fluorescent pigments, and clear paint. Me, gets Dad to agree to help building a giant person-carrying Chinese wedding sedan. Him providing wood from his stash and everything. Starts planning a weekend trip to help him. Others today. We're looking at adding a couple more people who apparently were upset they weren't added to the skit group when they were asked to join, but we really wanted to figure out what we were doing and how many roles we needed to fill the first. So we should do this other scene that could fit more people. And just, again, that conversation is so friggin' important.
Okay, but I feel like this is from Heaven Official's Blessing, just because. And that book / anime / manga manhwa has a cast of so many people. So, not to say, like, that's a hard place to be. Like, I've been there in the middle when you've had to, like, add people last minute, and you had a plan all in mind, and that stinks. So I hope it works out and you don't have to have fires and crime and only in the skit, like, as cool special effects.
They do go on to say, like, they're really tired. They wanted, like, hey, I wanted input. We opened up the forum so people could have discussions. And it's just like, it's so frustrating. And like, I feel you.
Especially when you invested like that in it. So.
Like, that's like 90% of corporate America too. I'm gonna complain about my job for like 2 seconds. We have a new CEO of the company, and he walked into his office and goes, "No, I hate all of this. We're changing it all." And so we were told, turn off the printer. We turned off the printer. 45 minutes later, somebody calls. Why is the printer turned off? You shouldn't have turned it off. And I got yelled at for an hour while they were trying to figure out, why is it off? What are we going to do while it's under construction and all these things? So it's just like, the right hand and the left hand don't even know what they look like, let alone talking to each other.
Oh my gosh.
So, like, I totally get it, Becky Boo Bear. Just, there's something about, like, I wanted to have a conversation. We could have had a conversation. We were all on the same page. And then it all fell apart. I don't know why.
So I've been there.
Yeah, we all can relate.
Yeah. Well, if you listeners at home have a horror story or a happy story or a cringe awesome time you had at a convention, please share that with us. I want to get me back in that cringe era. You can send those to us at I was trying to think of a fun way to add a pun for cringe in there, but I just couldn't. So at cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com
or go to the website, cosplaystitchandseam.com, and fill out the form, or
go to the Facebook page of While You Are on the Internet. Join our fantastic community. Cringe with us as I don't know how to edit anymore, apparently.
Yeah.
And while you're on the internet, if you want to help out the show, make sure to share the podcast with a friend. Leave a review. That helps the algorithm. So it really helps other people find us. And that's really, really helpful. And also, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/cosplay stitch. Some of the amazing people that we need to thank are Misty Lee, Jack S., Cynthia Eve, Cosplay, Starfetcher, Troff Cos, Lydia, Yggdrasil, Dr. Steady, Dr. Steggy, Cynics, Aunt Riku, Shut Up, Jazzy Copehead, Jaguar Quinn, Gloria Shu, and Silver
Silver
Deeds.
Deeds.
See, we got that. Didn't have to edit that part at all.
Cried out loud.
Yeah. Thanks as always to Macy Roberts for the use of her music as our theme song, and to David Jeffress for Faye's amazing editing. How are your podcasts going, David?
They are going so stinking great. We have less than 6 episodes left of this season of The Last Voice.
Woo.
So it is winding down, and it is spiraling to the end, and it is it's so good right now. One of my favorite episodes is coming out, where they talk about menstrual cycles during the end of the world. That's something that I feel like a lot of people talk about. So I just wanted to highlight that one little bit of like, I'm proud of this writing. Go check that out, please.
Nice.
And of course, Comic Trades Monthly, if you enjoy comic books and you enjoy talking about them in a broader concept and not just, hey, the X-Men are really cool. Yeah, we all know they're really cool, but the comparison to Xavier and Magneto to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King is kind of off base, and let's talk about it. That's all there on Comic Trades Monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. I have some rapid fire bad puns for you guys since
I can't wait to cringe with them.
These ones have been like bad, but I haven't been like, oh, this is a good episode ender. It's just bad. So how does a hamburger introduce their girlfriend?
How?
Meet Patty. What do you call a knight who's afraid to fight?
A scaredy night?
Surrender. And this one, since it's still April, the funny date month, how do fish get high?
Ooh, how do fish get high?
Seaweed. All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Cut this part if read on the podcast. So we should do this other scene. What do you mean? What am I cutting? Becky Boo Bear, what am I cutting? This is a no-cut episode.
I have a feeling this is a Heaven Official Blessing skit just because of the Chinese wedding sedan, but
the palanquin.
Yes.
Okay.
And I want like fluorescent ghosts and cool stuff. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.